Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Okay, so ever since we did the announcement yesterday and talked about the undercard for Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury, there's been a lot of negativity surrounding that undercard. Of course, there's always going to be some people man defending because they're huge fans of Tyson Fury. Oh, we don't care about the undercard, it's all about the main event. Even though these very same people don't hold the same energy when it comes to matchroom shows, right? Anyway, that said, now, I think something that people are kind of overlooking, because I see a lot of comments, and maybe rightfully so, I don't know, that, well, Frank Warren, he's having to shell out $41 million just on the main event. Obviously, all the undercard is going to be on top of the $41 million. Hiring out Wembley Stadium, the ringside officials, the referee, the judges, all up and down the card, the catering, the hiring of Wembley Stadium, and the list goes on and on and on. It's going to add up to a lot. So Frank Warren has been very conservative. He's a little bit nervous maybe about maybe not even breaking even, let alone making a profit. Because obviously that 41 million is a record for a purse bid. It's not a record as far as the purses are concerned. It's a record as far as a purse bid is concerned. But it's a lot of money. But something that I think people are forgetting is that Tyson Fury signed a 5-fight deal with ESPN and Top Rank for $100 million. That wasn't $100 million for 5 fights signing on fee. No, that's his wages across 5 fights. Now, when you look at Tyson Fury's fight so far, 4 of those 5 fights have already been completed. So this Dillian Whyte fight is his 5th fight. Okay, so the 2 fights with Wilder, how much did he make in those fights? What, maybe 20 million each? For Wilder Part 2, Wilder Part 3, 20 million each, maybe? For the Otto Wallin and Tom Schwartz fights, apparently he made around about 7 million for each of those fights. So you're talking 50 odd, 60 million. So whatever's left of this $100 million is what he's going to get paid for this 5th fight. So Frank Warren, or at least to my understanding, is not paying Tyson Fury wages for this fight. Because Tyson Fury's already guaranteed a set amount to make up the difference, so he hits that 100 million for the 5 fights. That's where my problem comes in. Because Tyson Fury isn't getting paid, again, to my knowledge, isn't going to get paid 100 million for 5 fights and then get wages on top. That's not what's happening for him. So that's when I look at the undercard and go, Frank Warren's skimping here. Isaac Lowe versus Nick Ball. Low ball, yeah, brilliant. Okay, is that a dig at Dillian Whyte's 20%? Okay, cool, funny. You got Kache on there, very good fighter. He's taken on a guy with 34 wins and 1 defeat, former world champion. That 1 defeat was against Kiko Martinez. But that's the only step-up fight that he's ever had. And he lost it. Everybody else that he's fought was bin men. And of course it goes on. Of course there's some prospects on the undercard. And of course you can understand the kind of opponents that they're fighting. You can't expect them to be thrown into the deep end. But how I look at it is this way. When Dillian Whyte is pay-per-view on a matchroom show, he owns the event. Okay, he owns the undercard. So everybody on the undercard comes out of Dillian Whyte's budget, comes out of Dillian Whyte's pocket. And Dillian Whyte always puts on a very good undercard. And nobody out there can deny that one, right? So where Frank Warren and Bob Arum have potentially dropped the ball when it comes to this undercard is the fact that had they have been a little bit nicer, a little bit open with Dillian Whyte, don't try and lowball him with his 20%. Again, is it still going to be 20%? Is the arbitration still going on? Again, I don't know any of these answers. But it's not about how much money it is. And hopefully you understand what it is I'm talking about, okay? It's not about the fact that he's getting 7.4 million plus a potential 4.1 million if he beats Tyson Fury. It's not about the net value. It's about the respect of the split. And however much that split works out is however much that split works out. Had they offered him 30% and Dillian Whyte had agreed, the undercard will probably be a lot better. Not because Dillian Whyte would own the undercard, but because he would have a little bit of an input where he could look at, say, for example, I don't know, two of his fighters, for example. You've got Fabio Wardley and you've got Alan Babbage. Again, as far as I'm aware, they're not exclusive to Matchroom. Okay, Dillian Whyte manages these two fighters, and if necessary, he would pay Fabio Wardley and Alan Babbage, or Alan Babbage, whichever one, to fight on this card. Maybe one of them could have taken on David Adelaide at Dillian Whyte's expense. He'd have paid his fighter, as he has done previously. This is the kind of issue that I have. The other issue that I have as well is that Isaac Lowe is only on this card because he's Tyson Fury's mate. That's the issue that I've got. And nobody really interested in watching Isaac Lowe fight. And especially, again, if you're looking at the BoxRec standings, I know it doesn't always work out that way. Currently, it looks like he's the co-main event, or the chief support at least. That's worrying. Why? Because there's a WBC silver belt on the line, or whatever kind of belt it is. Who cares? Where's the British title fights on this card? This is Wembley Stadium. And again, there's nothing wrong with having prospects on there. You should. And I know some people have made mention to how Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, well, that event wasn't so great, as in the undercard. Had 4 Olympians on that undercard. What are you talking about? Okay, they were somewhat prospects at the time, granted. But they were Olympians from Team GB. Of course, you had Katie Taylor on there as well. You had Scott Quigg on there. So compare that to this. It's like apples and oranges. It's not even close. So again, people stop trying to defend this undercard. And I'm not saying this because it's a Frank Warren show. I really wanted a good undercard. I wanted Frank Warren to use this whole event to say, right, I put on better cards than Eddie Hearn. I wanted this event to be the spectacular event of the year. But there's too much bullshit talking about how, well, people are only coming to see Tyson Fury. What a load of old nonsense. No, people are not coming to see Tyson Fury. People are coming to see Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. If you replace Dillian Whyte with a Tom Schwartz or Otto Wallin or Ajit Kabiel or a Robert Helenius or whoever else, the tickets would not have done even close to what they've done. The pay-per-views, whatever number that they're going to be for this particular fight, would not be if he was going to be fighting somebody else. It's complete nonsense. Frank Warren knows this. But again, this goes back to the point. It's not like that Frank Warren is shelling out $41 million of his own pocket towards this. He's got a lot of help here from ESPN. A lot of help. And I'm pretty sure he's got some kind of help from Sky as well, because I've seen Sky Sports advertising there. Plus, of course, he's got all other kind of networks. But again, on this particular event, it's an all-British clash. He could have reached out to Eddie Hearn and said, okay, outside of the US, outside of the UK, we're happy for you, DAZN, to show this in Italy, in Spain, in Germany, in Australia, and what other countries and counties and whatever else, well, not counties, but countries that DAZN have access to. We're happy for you. You just give us a bit of money. They could have done that, but they haven't done that. Or again, as far as I'm aware, they haven't done that. And in return, Eddie Hearn could have given a couple of his fighters to this undercard. Frank Warren and Bob Arum has dropped the ball with this one. People look at this undercard and go, this is crap. And go back to what I said before, where some people say, yeah, but people are only turning up for the main event. That's never been the way here in the UK. That's not what happens. In America, yeah, okay, that's what happens. People turn up at the main event. That's what they care about. The undercard is just filler. But this undercard isn't filler. There's a whole lot of gaps in it. Now, there's still time to put on an extra, I think about another 3 or 4 fights. I think currently the rules are maximum of 12 fights. So they could still do something to make it interesting. Maybe they could turn it around a little bit. But again, they've put away fighters with good winning records, but they haven't been anybody. It's for the kind of casual audience to look at the record and go, oh, that's interesting, and not look any further. But most of us, of course, we know better. Just scratch away the surface a little bit, look at who it is that they've beaten to get that record. It's not great. It's not good. This is Wembley Stadium. This undercard is befitting of the York Hall. It is. This is not a Wembley Stadium undercard. Tommy Fury talking about how his opponent would knock out Jake Paul. Yet again, Tommy Fury allowing Jake Paul to live in his head rent-free. Isaac Lowe is only on this undercard because he's Tyson Fury's mate. If he wasn't Tyson Fury's mate, Isaac Lowe would be lucky to get slots on small horse shows. This is the problem. Now, if anybody knows anything different about what I said about Tyson Fury and this 5-fight deal for $100 million with Top Rank in ESPN, being that this Dillian Whyte fight is his 5th and final fight, let me know. But I believe I'm correct with this one, that whatever money he's made so far, that's under 100 million, the difference will be made up in this fight. So Frank Warren is not actually paying Tyson Fury's wages. I mean, maybe he's contributing somewhere along the lines, I don't know. But if he's made 60 million so far across 4 fights, then he'll get paid 40 million for this fight. If he's made 95 million in these last 4 fights, then he'll get paid 5 million for this Dillian Whyte fight. Anyway, that's why I'm disappointed with the undercard. And I said there were ways around this. All they had to do was be a little bit more transparent, a little bit more open, a little bit more receptive with Dillian Whyte. That's all they had to do. Be a bit more respectful. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.